Sea of Red, it's time for another Fireside Chat, the official podcast of Flames fans. It's go time.
Well, we are just days away from the start of the 2025-2026 NHL season. A lot to talk about with the season ahead and the preseason. As always, I'm Dan alongside Matt, and we're joined today by our friend Kevin Olenek. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm good. Happy opening Flames. It's another season of the Flames. Was an interesting, probably one of the more interesting weeks of preseason discussion. So it'll be an interesting season.
Matt, how you doing?
Good. Just looking forward to the start of the season and getting things underway.
Well, before we start with the season talk, let's talk about the preseason. We talked last after the split squad game, which, if I remember, is usually the last game, not the first game of the preseason.
No, it's usually the first.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. No.
And because they need the bigger squads.
I believe
so
also, Dan, I believe this will be the last split squads game. Might be one of the last split squad games we ever have.
Officially, yes, but I think that a lot of that split squad is to get AHL guys in there, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sort of rookie tournament or something like that happening to do a lot of the
Yeah,
same thing.
I do wonder about how they're going to alter that. Anyway, separate topic.
But we have 6 preseason games. The Flames won a couple, lost a couple, got devastated in one. I think let's talk about the preseason as a whole, and then let's zero in on the Vancouver game. So as a whole, Matt, what are your thoughts on this preseason?
It was a little bit concerning, just the quality of play from the veteran players on the team. It seemed that most of the over 30 guys were struggling to get up to game speed. Specifically Blake Coleman, I thought he really did not have a good preseason. Alongside Michael Backlund. Beyond that, kind of to be expected, the Flames didn't really have any spots available for young guys, and even Matt Vegradin, was the standout during the training camp, it's going to be hard for him to get a spot in the lineup, even though he was one of the 3 or 4 best players on the team.
Did that play from the veterans worry you in terms of what you think you're going to see for the season, or do you think it's just them saying, you know what, this doesn't matter yet, why go all out?
A little bit. How would you say, the thing that was most concerning to me was the drop in foot speed from guys like Coleman and Backlund, because they did not seem to be skating, they were about 80% of what they were last year in terms of foot speed, and it's not like they were both burners either. So unless, they're just dogging it to get through the preseason and come against Edmonton in game 1, they turn it back up. It's just one of those things where it's concerning if, the Flames are wanting to compete for a playoff spot to have 2 of their key players not really playing very well.
And they're both old guys who at their age, we would probably expect that they're starting to lose a little bit of speed.
Yes.
Kevin, what were your overall thoughts?
Well, I'll start with the good. I think Adam Klapka has made more tremendous strides as a forward. I know that a lot of people are not big fans of him, but I think that over the time that he's been with this team, he's the most improved Flame. I really, really, really liked his camp. I thought Joel Farabee was generally inconsistent, but I really liked him against that during the Winnipeg game. I think Mackenzie Weegar is starting to take a really heavier leadership role on that Flame blue line core, and Dustin Wolf looks ready for the regular season. I mean, he stood on his head in Seattle. He had one of the weirdest goals I've ever seen in terms of a shootout goal. So that was the good. The bad, and then I think Matt Vegradin, I thought really stepped up, and I think that we'll have an interesting discussion about him. Matt mentioned Backlund and Coleman. I was a little my concerns were I thought Connor Zary struggled. I agree. I don't know. They don't seem to have a fit for him. That was a bit of a concern. And I also thought Kevin Ball really struggled as well. Especially that Vancouver game. Him and Anderson just did not seem to be on. I don't even think that they were in the same library, not even in the same, never mind the same book. They just looked really disconnected in both preseason games. And I'm sorry, this is the unpopular opinion in Calgary. Zane Parekh is not ready for the NHL. And you really saw that in the Winnipeg game more than the Vancouver game. But there was times he just looked like a deer in the headlights. The biggest one was the Mark Scheifele penalty where he got just completely outmuscled and had no idea really what to do with Scheifele. And I'm just really concerned if you're putting him on the ice against in Edmonton, the others are just gonna feed McDavid and Draisaitl to Parekh. And I'm sorry. I know that there's so much popularity with him, but I just don't think he's ready. I really don't. And I know I'm on the wrong side of that argument for a lot of people.
Let's come back to that idea when we talk about our opening day.
But I just wanted,
I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying. I didn't like what I saw from Zari, but I don't think I've been as high on Zari as a lot of people. I mean, I remember back in the day, Matt and I having these discussions about Dylan Dubé, and Matt was higher on him than I was. And, I think I'm not as high on Zari as I think a lot of people are. And I think he may fall further down this lineup than a lot of people expect him to. The veterans don't worry me as much. I think that I'm hoping at least that these are guys that know, you know what, I maybe only got so much gas in the tank as I get older and I don't want to use it here. And do I need to use it here? So I'm kind of hoping that it was, let's go 80% and let's maybe let the young guys do a lot of the work and turn things on when the season starts. And in terms of the back end, I agree with you about Uyghur, Kevin, and I would not be surprised if, because we don't know if Rasmus will be here, if Uyghur's the next captain of this team. Like, he looks like he's taking on a bigger leadership role with the players, with the media, that sort of thing. But this back end still, and we'll talk about when we talk about the lineups for the opening day, this back end still has a lot of questions for me, and I'm not sure what you do with it. And then, if there's one game we're going to hone in on, boy, am I glad this is a preseason game. 8-1 thumping from Vancouver. The Flames used both of their supposed backup goaltenders, Prosvetov and Cooley. Still couldn't get the job done. 8-1 loss. Matt, were you there for this one?
Yes, I was.
Was there anyone still in the seats at the end of the third period?
Oh, yeah. It was still half full.
Besides you?
Realistically, if Dustin Wolf had played that game, it might have been a 2-1 game. And that's to kind of dump everything on the goaltenders. Like, there were so many bad goals that, like one of them, Prosvetov just slid over like 6 inches too far, so he left the whole wide open side of the net. Yeah. And there's just too many plays where like Prosvetov, his glove just was not working, where he would kind of just wave at the puck, and instead of like knowing where the shot was going, it's like, oh well, maybe I might catch it, and it would just go in, and just it was bad. And if the Flames were being competitive this year, I would be expecting a trade for a goalie, just to quickly shoehorn a veteran backup in because of how bad both of them are.
I think if the Flames thought they needed a veteran, they could have probably offered 2 future considerations for what's his name, the guy the Oilers
Connor Ingram.
Ingram, yeah. We'll see your 1 future consideration. We'll consider you twice in the future.
Do I hear 3?
But yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think seeing that, anytime I see on the pregame that Devin Cooley now is in net, anyone that's not Dustin Wolf, I think I'm probably going to, be a little worried after seeing what that looked like against a fairly NHL-laden squad.
Yeah, and to be fair, Cooley did play better in the game, so I do actually agree with them waving Prosvetov to the AHL, because Cooley actually did make a few good saves. It just, the entirety of it was just terrible.
Kevin, what were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it just felt like it didn't look like the team was really confident with either of them. I didn't like that first Cooley goal that he allowed. That was kind of I think it was Sasson that took the shot that Cooley was trying to glove. I really didn't like Prostov's effort on the PD one time or on the power play. Like he just, yeah, I he looks a little messy to me. Like I do. I thought he was sharp. Process was sharp in the Abbotsford game with Calgary, but I think that this guy's a very raw, and I think Devin Cooley still needs a lot of work. I still think at some point this year they're going to have to go to the waiver wire, and I'm not convinced that this is. I'm not convinced Cooley is going to be the backup on Wednesday. I'm there's a couple of goalies out there that I think that they can have a pretty good they'll have a good look at. We'll talk about waiver wire maybe, so I'll save it, but I am not convinced that the backup goalie situation is Devin Cooley's. Like from what I'm hearing from the Flames management, it doesn't sound like they were relieved that Devin Cooley won the position. It sounded like Devin Cooley got the position because they know Devin Cooley better than Prosvetov, but it wasn't like they were confident in Devin Cooley.
Well, I mean, I came into this season, and I don't know if you've heard us say this, but I didn't believe that you would bring a guy like Prostov over from Russia, or he'd come over if he didn't think he had an NHL job. Like, I think if he's going to be playing in the AHL, I'd rather be in the KHL.
Well, and for him, I think that him being in the KHL for the last couple of years, he might just need some time to adjust. Like on that one goal where he slid over too far, like that was appropriate positioning if you're in the KHL, but having to readjust for NHL shooters and where their shots are coming from. Just having some time in the A to start a bit might help him readjust. While Cooley can just, play the maybe 2 games in October that he'll get.
Yeah, and I also don't know that the Flames are looking at Prosvetov as being the undisputed number 1 in the AHL. Like, I think you'll see probably him sharing that net with Owen Say, if not also Sergachev, and maybe moving those two up and down from the ECHL and AHL. Like, I think you'll see kind of a revolving door in the AHL this year.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think it's I think the only stability other than Dustin Wolf is I thought Owen, like just in terms of goaltending, I didn't mind Owen Say. I think there's Matt is smarter than me in this, but I didn't mind what I saw from Owen Say. I think there's some potential there. But
I agree.
I don't think he's going to be an NHL player this year.
No.
Like if you're looking to fill that backup spot,
no. But in terms of the overall goaltending picture for the Flames, you've got Wolf.
Yeah, like he might be a future backup in the NHL.
That's what I'm saying.
So when you look at his scouting report, it says maybe future Noodles.
Basically,
yeah,
good backup.
Future overdrive host Owen Say.
There you go.
Yeah,
we can call him Ramen. Well, let's move on from the preseason then. Let's talk about the Flames head coach, Ryan Huska. Gets a 2-year extension with the Calgary Flames. This was his last year on his contract. There was some media scrutiny going into this of, are you comfortable going into the last year with him unsigned? Now they got him for 2 more years. I like this. I have no problem with Ryan Huska staying here. I still think Ryan Huska is the right coach for right now for the Flames. Do I think he's the right coach 4 years from now? I don't know, but I think he's the right coach during a rebuild when you've got a lot of young guys on this roster that you're trying to develop. Matt, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to have a bit of a controversial opinion and say that since the first go-around of Daryl Sutter, I actually think that Ryan Huska is the best coach that the Flames have had in terms of talent of coaching. He has been very good at getting the most out of his players. Like last year, the Flames were expected to be a bottom 5, bottom 10 team. Instead, we basically tied for a playoff spot. He's helped a lot of the young guys like Coronado and Wolf get to where they need to go. Help Pahal become a mainstay on the blue line as the number 6. Help Ball establish himself as a top 4 defenseman. So, it, especially for a team that's retooling, he's done a very good job with what he's had.
So just for frame of reference, those guys we've had since the initial Daryl Sutter run was Jim Playfair, Mike Keenan, Brent Sutter, Bob Hartley, Glenn Gulletson, Bill Peters, Jeff Ward, and now Ryan Husker.
It's hard to argue with Matt on that.
It's a lot of coaches. Yeah, I think for different times in the organization, I think I'd put Huska and Hartley probably 1 and 2, and I don't know I can say one was better because the team was in a different spot at that point. I mean, do I think Huska is going to be the guy you're going to want 5 years from now when you have a veteran-laden squad trying to run for the cup? Maybe not, but I agree with Matt about where they are now trying to build these young players. I think you've got the right guy.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts, Kevin?
I liked this. I think that he's one of the things that I've appreciated about Huska is he's made adjustments every year. He's aware of where their flaws are and what needs to improve. Like I thought that there's been already a significant adjustment. I forgot to mention this in the positives, but I thought there was a bit of a significant adjustment in penalty kill already. He's already admitted that they're making some changes in overtime. So he what I like about him is he knows that there are areas that he will work on. And I appreciate that about him. I think that he has such a gentle presence in the media, which just fits right within the Calgary market. And I think that this guy is also developing. And I'll go one step further. I wouldn't be surprised in a future Olympics if Ryan Huska is on a Team Canada staff. I think he's going to be that good of a coach.
Like to me, he reminds me a bit of John Cooper in Tampa.
Yeah, very intelligent.
Yeah, I think you guys are right. And I mean, he was after the second Daryl Sutter run. They asked the players who they wanted. And Huska was the guy the players wanted. And so, they've got their man. I think he's a great piece for the Flames to have found. And whether here or elsewhere, I think he will be, sort of like Matt said, Cooper, I think he will be a head coach that's around the NHL for a long time. In whatever team has him there. So I'm glad we got him for 2 more years. Well, let's move to our opening day roster, and we might jump around a little bit here, but the preseason is done. The Calgary Flames open their regular season on the 8th of October, which will be shortly after people listen to this, probably, and the Flames still have some work to do with this opening day roster. So where things sit now, they have 14 forwards, 8 defensemen, and 2 goaltenders, which is a 24-man roster, needs to be cut down to 23. Huberdeau and Pospisil currently both listed as potentially injured, so you may free up 2 forward spots there. We talked about earlier, Prosvetov was waived. Cooley has the backup job, likely, unless they make a change going into the start of the season. And Bean and Maramanov still on that roster. Soloviev claimed off waivers, who people thought might get there. So let's break this down, I guess, position by position. Let's start with forwards, and I'll start with Kevin. Kevin, looking at the forward spot, I think the biggest question is, does Matvei Gridin make the team? And if so, who is off the roster for him? Or do you just put, say Huberdeau on a short-term IR and then give Gridin a chance to see what he looks like?
Well, I mean, it's day-to-day with Huberdeau, so they did say day-to-day, not week-to-week, so that leaves a lot of question. I'm going to say I think he ends up starting. I think he's on the first 3. He's at the first 3 games, but I think when they head on the road, I think he plays with the Wranglers. I think he earned himself a look, but I think the ultimate plan that they're going to stick with is they're going to have him play with the Wranglers.
Well, if he's not on the team when they go on the road, he's not here opening.
No, they go on that lengthy outside of Canada road trip. Like when they go to Vegas, like
I see.
When they start heading the States, I don't know if Gridin is on the team. Okay. That's kind of where I'm at.
So where do you see him slotting in? What, in the top 6?
I thought he looked good with Frost and Coronado. I thought that was a really good line. But so I could see him there. My lines, I think for night one look to me like it's probably, if there's no Huberdeau, you're going Kadri, Farabee, Klapka, Frost, Gridden, pardon me, I keep calling him Gridden, Coronado, Backlund, Zary, Coleman, and a combination of Kirkland, Sharangovich, and Lomberg. I kind of see. I don't. Gridden's not going to play on the fourth line. If he's going to play, he's going to be in the top six.
No.
Yeah.
Matt, what are your thoughts?
I think that he should make the team out of camp. Like, he, as much as like Honzik last year played excellently and made the team, I feel that you need to have Gridden make the team. He basically did everything he needed to, and he made several plays where in the last game where, you know, like if it was a better bounce, like he could have had 2 or 3 assists to go with his goal and assist. So, yeah, like I don't know exactly who comes out because frankly the forward lineup is rather full. So you might, I would honestly sit Pospisil for the first game or two along with Kirkland and shift the centers as you need to allow Gridden to play. And to be fair, like he played rather well as well with Coleman and Backlund. So like it's not necessarily that he has to be with Frost and Coronado. You could shift him to be on the third line as well. So we'll see.
Here's my hot take. I think going into this, just to make numbers work, I would put Pospisil on the shortest term IR I can, just to get him off the roster so that I can put another guy in there, even if it's a week, 2 weeks, whatever, because you can post-date that. I would put Kirkland on fourth line center, and I'd take Zary out of the lineup, and I would put Gridden on with Backlund Coleman.
I'm not opposed to that either.
I think right now, with the way we saw Zary in the preseason, he might need a bit of competition to earn his job. So I think I would pull him out and say, you know what, let's try the young guy there. And maybe say to Connor, earn it back.
Yeah, and having that competition is not a bad thing.
What do you think, Kev?
It seems to me that the 3 forwards that I feel like are the odd ones out are Sharangovich, Pospisil, or Zary.
I think the organization likes Sharangovich too much to pull him out. Like, he had a bum season last year from the injury. I think they want to give him some runway to see what he can do.
Yeah, like even though he had the injury troubles and struggled for a good portion of the year, he still nearly scored 20 goals. And, you know, it's hard to take that out of the lineup. Like even, you know, like especially down the stretch, like he was basically the player he was the prior season. So barring injury, he should still be that guy.
There's also a lot of money tied up in him, I think.
Yeah, but you tied my money up in Zary as well. Is
a lot less money, though. I mean, you've got Sharangovich tied up at almost $6 million till 2030.
Okay, let me ask just one other question, just to toss this into the spice here. Like, I mean, we're assuming that and it's fair to assume that the lineup that we have is going to be the players that we have, but do you think that there's a trade on the possibility here? Like,
I would not be shocked if Coleman got traded. Like, realistically, last year when they got Joel Farabee, the writing was kind of on the wall that Coleman's the odd man out because Farabee and Coleman more or less do the same thing. And the difference being Farabee is like 6 years younger. So, and a guy like Coleman is an attractive player to a number of teams who need a good third line winger who can play both offensively chipping in and good defensively.
I don't think that deal happens before we open the season.
No.
Like, if that's going to happen, I think if you're trying to juggle your roster, the earliest that happens is Christmas time, when teams figure out where they're at and how much they want to take on. I don't think you're going to see the Coleman deal done in the next 3-4 days here.
No,
Do you see a Pospisil trade though?
potentially.
I don't know who's going to give you anything for Pospisil. Like I think most teams have a Martin Pospisil.
Well, the thing is that because of the edge to his game, like there are teams that, frankly, want that extra bite. Like I could see a team like the Florida Panthers, to be fair, because he would fit into that roster like a glove.
I guess my question is, would the Panthers want to pay $2.5 million for 3 more seasons? Like I think that new deal might be a little too rich and might hamstring you on what you can get.
Yes.
I mean, it might be money in for
Like if he still was on his 1-year deal that expires this year at $1 million, yeah, I could see teams wanting him. I don't know that you want to take that on 2.5.
Yeah. I kind of see where you're coming from, Dan. I don't know if they're going to scratch. I think that there's a bigger chance that they scratch Igor than Zary. I really do. Because I don't know where does Sharon Govich fit in this roster? Like realistically,
I know.
I think right now, I mean, you talked about Klapka on line 1. I don't want Klapka on line 1. I think I'd probably go into the opening day with Farabee, Kadri, Sharon Govich, or Farabee, Kadri, Coronado as my number 1, and then put the other guy on 2 with Frost and Huberdeau.
I think Frost and Coronado are developing a chemistry. I don't want to really see that break up, and I wonder if there's a chemistry starting between Kadri and Farabee. Like I wonder if once Huberdeau is healthy, that's Kadri, Huberdeau, Farabee, and then
I think you've got to give Sharon Govich the runway to get back to where they want him to be.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I could also see Kirkland not being in the lineup and making Zari the 4th line center, and kind of keeping.
Yeah, and I'm not comfortable with Pospisil as a center. So that makes some sense too.
Yeah, so that way, like you would just have Pospisil and Kirkland as your 13-14, and have everybody else in the lineup accordingly.
Do we all think that Klapka makes this?
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, I could see that as well, and that might make more sense, is put Zari on the 4th line with Lomberg, Klapka, put Gridden into that role, and then scratch Pospisil.
Yeah.
Like I've said this earlier in the season, I think that Pospisil is now redundant with Klapka in the lineup.
Yeah, because Klapka and Pospisil, like unless you're utilizing them both at the same time to basically be the, let's hammer the opposition bros, on the 4th line and just, cause havoc and, like that would be a great 4th line if you had Pospisil with Klapka and Lomberg and just, say, have fun,
Here's a crit.
But it is hard to have frankly, the problem is the Flames have too many players, and like somebody needs to go.
And they have positions.
How would you guys feel if the Flames were to potentially lose Pospisil for nothing? Here's an idea. What if they were, because let's say they can't get what they want for him, so they waive him. They send him down to the AHL and say, we're going to make you a center. Learn how to play that game and we'll bring you back up. But there's possibility to lose him for nothing. Matt, how would you feel about that?
Would think that would be a bad asset management and a dumb decision, because like there is like 25 teams that
he would be claimed right away. There's no question. Like I think he's very talented. I just don't know where, and I wonder if you would get more from him than you think, actually, just the way that he played.
Yeah, like I think that he would get a 2nd round pick, to be honest. Like if
you can get a 2nd, I'd move him. Like I think I'd rather have the 2nd than Pospisil at this point.
Yeah, like the problem is that the Flames just have too many redundancies in the types of players that they have. Like I mentioned with Coleman and Farabee, Klapka and Pospisil, like you can shoehorn guys into the lineup, but you have like even Frost and Sharon Govich to an extent play a similar role, and it's hard when you're having too many of the same guys in the lineup where like you need to have kind of a mix of guys, and it's just hard when you have too many of the same.
Going back to what Kevin said about Sharon Govich, I think one thing that we maybe don't think of in keeping him in the lineup is he's versatile enough to play wing and center.
Yeah. I'm again, I'm higher on Zeri than you are, Dan. So I would keep Zeri in, and I think Sharangovich would be my odd man out if you're keeping Gridden in. If you're not, then I think this whole conversation doesn't necessarily. They're both in the lineup, but
Yeah, like honestly, I
So-
think the easiest button is just Kirkland and Pospisil will take a seat for a bit, let Gradine have a shot, and as Kevin said, like maybe 4 or 5 games in, you send Gradine down to the AHL and put Pospisil back in the lineup at that point.
Yeah, and with 24 spots taken on the roster, I think the easiest way to do what Matt just said would be just put Possible in the IR.
yeah,
Free up a spot, that way you don't need to send somebody else
Yeah.
down. Because I think the shortest IR you can have to get a guy off your roster is 10 days, right?
Yes.
So if we go without him for 10 days, I think that's a good, at least, time to get, Gridden out there and see what can he do.
Yeah, because that would be the Saturday, if I recall correctly. That would be the 10th day against the St.
Yeah,
Louis
I think
Blues.
it depends exactly. It also depends exactly when they make that transaction. Like, you could make it Wednesday morning on the first day of the season, and that would buy a little bit more time.
True.
And that would give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6 games if you did that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, this to me feels like a good problem to have for a rebuilding team. Like, I look at some rosters and I go, how the heck are they going to fill, their forward spots? They're going to bring in rando number 6. Like, for a team that is, let's be honest, rebuilding, because they've said that, or retooling, or whatever word we want to use, recycling, reusing, reducing. This is a good place to be in, isn't it? Like, we have too many good forwards.
So you're saying that the Flames are the Pirates because they have too many R's?
Yar! We got too many forwards, mates. Yar! Postal, you better take a seat.
well, I think like one of the conversations that
I mean, technically, Matt, if you're going with the pirate thing, the catwalk to the press box
Yeah.
does kind of look like a gang
you are,
plank.
you are
Make
walking
off
the plank on that.
Sorry,
big
go ahead,
step.
Kev.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, you could lose an eye. You may need an eye patch
So-
after walking that plank as well. So you may end up looking.
You need more of a nose patch, but yeah. Should we move on to the defense, or anyone else want to talk about anything with the forwards?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
just,
good.
I mean, I guess the one thing I will say is this is where a lot of people have argued. A lot of the Flames blogging community has been arguing that the Flames don't play a lot of young guys or they're not developing. I think this discussion has proven that they are developing forwards, and their development model in general has worked out for them. Is it perfect? No, but it is working for them. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, and the Flames, I think, put a lot of stock in their AHL team and the Wranglers and how they do things. And while we may not see them developing with a C on their chest, I mean, the Wranglers are there as a development team, and I think the Flames are using that system very well.
Well, and like I know a lot of people have complained about like Rory Cairns getting cut, and to me, like between him and Gradine has been better.
I agree.
And it's not like the Flames have a ton of roster spots where, and
That's it. We're having a hard enough time fitting a winger in. Where the hell are we going to put another one?
and it's like it would be different like if the Flames didn't have guys, and like they do need to cut some other redundancies out of the roster eventually, but it makes more sense instead of having Cairns being the 13th, 14th forward for him to be the first line guy in the AHL. So that way, when injuries happen, because they do, that he can come up and like he did look like an NHL player during training camp. And I feel that like if the Flames were, say, the Blackhawks or the Sharks in terms of roster depth, he would be in the opening day lineup. It's just that like right now there are too many guys that are in roles that, and he needs a top 9 spot.
And if we think about that too, I mean, back when Zari and Pospisil made the league, they were not on the opening day roster. They were mid-season call-ups that earned a spot. So I think if we look at that as a viable path, yeah, Cairns is going down to the AHL. He's going to tear it up there, hopefully. When that call comes, be ready, because it's a long season. And the 13 forwards they have now are probably not going to be the same 13 forwards in the same places on
Yeah,
Game 82.
and it same, just to carry on with that, like Sam Morton looks like an NHL player too. Again, they just need another roster spot in the bottom six available for him to play. And at this point, might as well have him being a top six center down there and come up when, any injury to a center happens, Morton comes up.
Yeah,
Yep.
agreed.
All right, I'm going to give a big sigh here as we move to the back end. This is, I think, where the Flames have a bit of a mess this year. We thought Soloviev might make the team. He was waived, claimed by the Colorado Avalanche, so not available to Flames to put on that back end. So as of right now, the Calgary Flames on their back end are Mackenzie Weegar, Kevin Ball, Rasmus Anderson, Joel Hanley, Jake Bean, Daniel Marimanov, Braden Bacall, and Zane Parekh. Let's start with the Parekh question. Do you think he's better to play? Let's give him 10 games, because I think they'll probably give him some games, but do you think he should be in the NHL or the OHL this year? I'll start with Kevin. Because they can't send him to the A, and that to me is the big question mark for me. If you could put him in the A,
that would be the obvious thing, is you put him in the A and let him dominate there for the entire season. Let him win AHL Defenseman of the Year. Let that hype for Parekh continue. And
sell
the
some tickets for
reality
regulars.
is the thing is, even if Parekh is in the NHL, he's not, like, you look at that schedule, there are a number of places that I think, like, if I'm Ryan Huska, I'm already thinking they have probably got a pitch count on him. I know that I think I think that this rule is so stupid, but ultimately, I don't think having him as a 6'7" defenseman is going to help him. I think send him back to the O, get him ready for the World Juniors, and I just don't think he's going to be playing top 4 minutes with this team this year. I don't think he's ready, and I think this is a very frustrating rule. But ultimately, for me, I have to send him to the OHL.
What about you, man?
I honestly think that he does not really get any benefit from being in the OHL. And if the AHL was available, then sure, you'd have him in the A. And, like, is he going to be terrible defensively this season in the NHL? Yes. But having Ryan Huska there, who is an excellent coach for defensemen on teaching how to play defense, and having him there working with Parekh every day this year. Like, I'm hearkening back to when TJ Brody first played in the NHL, and, like, he was a tire fire defensively. And, it's like, why are they putting this guy in the NHL? Like, he is not ready on the back end. But he learned that year playing against the NHL guys, and his defensive game sprung forward enough where Brody emerged as a top pairing defenseman for a number of years for the Flames. And, like, you kind of go in knowing that Parekh is going to get his head shoveled in defensively. And, like, we saw in the Winnipeg game, like, Scheifele just kind of manhandled him and drew a penalty because of that. And, like, do I see Parekh being a, Calder finalist this year? No. But I think that him learning on the job will do him better than him being in the OHL. And you kind of have to shelter him as the 5'6". And, like, hey, learn from Weegar, learn from Ball, learn from Anderson, and, get your time on the power play. You can run PP2, and, like, is it ideal? No. Like, realistically, he should be in the AHL, but it will be better for his long-term development having Huska there teaching him every day this season. And even if Parekh doesn't play every game and you have him as the number 7 for certain games where he might be outclassed, isn't a viable option. But I think that on the whole, for his development, it's better for him to be in the NHL than to be in the OHL.
Let me just.
I think we all agree that.
Can I ask you a question here?
Go ahead, Kevin.
You've already got one distraction with Rasmus Andersson here. It is a distraction. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that it's not. With Zane Parekh,
yeah, like until he's traded or he has a contract signed, like it will be a distraction.
Zane Parekh going in and out of the lineup. I'm just concerned that that's also just another distraction for this team, that they're going to be talking to Zane just because of Zane's personality. I think he's quite engaging. I think that there's a lot of fans that have really captured him. I'm just.
Well, and how would you say, like, we've seen that kind of distraction, like when guys like Dubé and Zari would get occasionally pulled from the lineup and be like, well, why are you sitting him? And like, it's part of being a young player. And like, yes, it's a distraction, but ultimately, like if a guy's struggling, you pull him out of the lineup, let him sit and evaluate a game. And
and also, if you think this is going to be a bad team this year, it might be good to almost have a distraction for the media.
Yes.
I mean, I would rather they talk about that than, let's say there's another 8-1 blowout to the
Kings. I don't know if I think this team is going to be as bad as you guys think it's going to be.
We'll talk about that when we get to our predictions. But I know where you're going, Kevin, and that was my first thought is in the Calgary media market, do you want Zane Parekh coming in out of the lineup? I've been thinking a lot about this. I don't know the sentiment. When you're getting Bobby Orr numbers in the OHL, I'm not sure sending you back is doing you any good. I think he needs to be in the American League. He's not. Would I be surprised if he is next year, even if he plays a year in the NHL? No. I think next year you might see him in the AHL again, but I think you give him at least the 10 games and evaluate then. But I think the best place for Zane Parekh is wearing a Flames jersey, even if he's sitting up in the press box watching and learning, and like Matt said, working with our coaches here and that sort of thing. I think this guy has to stay with the Calgary Flames to further his development. Like, I don't know he's developing anything in the OHL. He's just going away to make a roster spot.
Yeah, and one of the things, like Huska, before he was an NHL coach, like he was basically a wizard at creating NHL defensemen in juniors when he was coaching there. And, like there's a laundry list of guys that have been NHL defensemen through his program. So, him being a great teacher for defensemen specifically, it's like right in his It's like right in his wheelhouse for Huska.
Yeah. And also, when I look at him on the roster, is Parekh more or less of a liability than Bean or Mirmano?
No,
I don't think so. Like, I think when you're looking at the guys that we have available, he is no better or worse right now than the other options.
That's fair. This whole blue line is, this blue line is a big concern for the Flames, without question.
It's realistically, it's like 3 top 4 defensemen and like 5 number 6s.
Thank goodness you've got a good goaltender.
Yes.
I mean, if you had this blue line and Prosvetov and Cooley as your goaltenders, you're letting everything in this.
Yeah. Hello, number 1 draft pick.
You got Gavin McKenna. You should be in the Verhoff McKenna conversation for sure. Yeah, I really wish you could put him in the AHL. I think ultimately having him play more minutes and dominating the AHL is where he should be.
And I mean, if he stays a 5-6 all year, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens next year. if we don't see that growth, or even let's say Anderson does leave and he doesn't progress to that top 4 level they want, send him down next
year.
And
I mean, we'll have to wait and see what they end up getting in the Anderson. I'm not saying that they're going to get a lot for Anderson. I don't think they're going to get as much as people think, but
no, like honestly, I'm thinking like a second and a third at current value, maybe a late first depending on the team, but yeah, not a huge return.
Yeah. Like
So, I guess looking at that blue line and looking at the available pieces or the pieces they've chosen to use, why not? Like, why not give Parekh a shot?
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, like, he has done as much as I feel like on the blue line as Gradin has to earn a shot at the NHL level. What they both do with it, it's like, okay, you're in the show, let's dance, and
yeah. And I think fans just have to remember that, yes, he's a first-round pick, but there seems to be this notion often that, wow, you're a first-round pick, that means you must be fantastic and spectacular and take the whole team on your back. I mean, I remember when we had those, thoughts about Backlund back in the day when he got drafted, and I think we just have to remember, yes, he's a first-round pick, but yes, he's also a very raw young player. Give him some time, and for where this organization is, I think they can afford to give him some time.
I think just for me, the other issue for me with Parekh is if they had someone, if they could move Joel Hanley down and there was another top 4 defenseman, I would probably be okay. I could live with Parekh with Joel Hanley because I think that there's some stability there. I just don't. I look at Parekh and Jake Bean, and that just. I don't want to be disrespectful to Jake Bean. I think Jake Bean is a really good skater, but I just don't think he is trustworthy, and his defensive IQ is not in Joel Hanley. And I think that's my...
Yeah, like, honestly, to me, like, I view the bottom pairing as being Parekh Bahal, and I don't even see Bean in the lineup game 1.
See, and I'm going to go a slightly different way. I think your first pair is going to be Ball Anderson. Your second pair, I think they're going to at least try Weegar Parekh.
Well, they haven't tried that all year, though. Like, it feels like it's been Weegar Hanley that's most of the year, most of the preseason last year. I think they're going to go with
but I think if you're keeping the kid around, you're going to want to give him a shot with a veteran.
But they haven't given him a shot with a veteran yet.
Sure. So then... I see what you're saying. That's what I think will happen. I know they haven't done it yet. If not, then I think it'll be Parekh Hanley and Pakal will move into the number 4.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. I don't think it's worth arguing over, who might go where at this point with this defense. But yeah, I mean, it could happen a number of different ways. Yeah. So let's talk about Bean and Mirmanov. So the Flames lost Soloviev on waivers for nothing, but ended up keeping both Bean and Mirmanov on their roster. Anyone surprised by that?
To be honest, like, are Bean and Mirmanov NHL defensemen? Not really. They're, to me, like quad A or number 8s. Guys like Tyson Barrie last year, like, where sure you can throw him in, but is he good enough to be an NHL player? No. And like, is Soloviev a number 5, number 6 in this league? Yes. But the Flames also have a whole host of guys. Like, Kuznetsov was better than Soloviev was. So I'm not as concerned because the Flames have a ridiculous amount of depth, and it's not like Soloviev was a budding top 4 defenseman.
Soloviev doesn't have a lot of upside, but I think he probably has earned the job as a young player more than those other two.
Yes.
What do you think, Kev?
Yeah, but see, I mean, I wasn't surprised about Karen's, but I just didn't ultimately. I kind of got this from Colorado's position because ultimately, like, you're not going to trade for Soloviev because he is going to end up on waivers. I guess for me, this just to attach this to the Parekh conversation, I might have been okay and like, okay, we've got Parekh and Soloviev, and they're learning together, and you're developing a young defense partner for Parekh. Well, not that he's super young; he's 25. But I really did think ultimately, I feel like he's more dependable back there than Bean, but he doesn't seem to fit Ryan Huska's system, and he at times looks unsure of himself. I so I'm still a little confused by this. Ultimately, I just this one was the head scratch to me.
Yeah, like to me, honestly, Bean and Maramonov both belong on the Wranglers. Like, I don't think that either of them should be in the NHL. And I feel that the Flames also have a number of guys in the A that are better than both of them.
Yeah.
And
or have a potential to be better.
Yeah.
Like, to me, we know what Bean and Maramonov are. We've seen them. They're, 27 and 28 respectively. I would like to see what we've got in Kuznetsov and Poirier. Like, let's bring someone else up to try this. If it doesn't work, put Bean and Maramonov in. But let's give someone else a shot to see what's there.
Yeah. Like, even like Brustevich and Grushnikov are both closer to being NHL players.
Yeah, I just don't want to bring Brustevich in as a 5-6.
No, but again, like if the Flames needed to, like I would sooner have those guys come up than have Bean and Miramanov playing it in regular season games.
I'm just convinced that
like it just feels.
I'm convinced that Miramanov has rancher skills, and they just have decided, okay, you, Daniil, are going to be the Michael Stone. We're going to put you with the center ranch. You're going to do ranch chores while you're not playing, and then come back when we need you and fire some shots.
But Michael Stone was reliable when he came back. Miramanov is not.
Yeah.
Like
Michael Stone could sit out like 30 games, and he didn't look like he'd missed a game.
Yeah, I honestly kind of understand it. Like, I want to be clear when I say this. I understand it with Jake Bean, not because of his last name. I think Jake Bean is a good skater. I really think that, like, there's I do see some NHL qualities in Jake Bean. Miramanov, I don't see. I'm that's the one that I'm ultimately more confused about.
There's a benefit to keeping one of them as your extra defenseman, but I don't know why you keep both of them. Like, why would you not waive Miramanov and keep Soloviev?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it's. Matt mentioned poor asset management earlier. It seems like this was poor asset management. Like, you cannot convince me that the better asset is Daniil Miramanov.
No, not at all. Like, honestly, I would have sooner waived Bean and Miramanov and kept Soloviev as the number 7. But
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Soloviev is a huge loss for the team.
No.
Like, I don't think he probably has more than 5-6 upside, but it just feels like you lost the guy with a little bit more upside there. Now, here's an interesting take, and I'll get your thoughts on this. I don't know that Soloviev lasts all year in Colorado. Like, looking at their D, I can see them waiving him again, and he becomes a Flame again.
Could, but I don't.
If they waive him, he gets optioned back.
It's one of those. I don't think that there's a big onus to bringing him back. Like, again, like if the Flames didn't have like 4 guys in the A that were already like basically competing with Soloviev, like the Flames could literally just go Kuznetsov, hey, your turn up instead.
Yeah. I just think that if he was optioned back, they'd probably take him. I mean, maybe not, because they lost him the first time, but you'd take him and you'd waive Miramanov. Like, I guess I'm trying to figure out why Conroy thinks Miramanov greater than Soloviev.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think for a lot of people, the Soloviev the error on this wasn't the player. It was the player that was like, it was the other one that wasn't. Like, that's it. Yeah. If we had a great D and we said Soloviev's the odd man out, great, fine, let's do that. But why Miramanov over Soloviev is what I'm trying to figure out.
And same with Bean. Like,
yeah. Again, I would keep one of those guys, because I think if you're putting Soloviev in the lineup, you want him to be a consistent 5-6. You need a 7. You need a veteran 7 you're willing to sit out. I'm willing to sit one of those guys out. I like Bean over Soloviev for that.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I like Bean over Miramanov. It's just like I really don't understand why they waived Soloviev over Miramanov. And
yeah, I agree. I would probably put Soloviev in as your 6, maybe your 7. They like to carry 8. Make Bean your 8, and get rid of Miramanov, put him down the A. Like, I'm not understanding the logic here, and I'm going to be curious if it gets addressed by the GM in a preseason press conference.
Yeah, that was my head scratcher.
And they've had enough time with Miromanov to know what he is. Like, are they seeing something we're not? Like, they must have seen the same guy last year. This is not a guy that's come through their system and Conroy drafted and he's, eternally loyal to because of that. This is a guy they picked up for nothing from Vegas. Like, I don't get it.
Well, they didn't pick him up for nothing. He was in the Noah Hannafin trade.
He was, but I mean, he was hurt at the time. I don't think they expected anything from him.
Yeah, it was just kind of a roster throw-in just to make the contracts equal. Like, that realistically was just the first for Hannafin, and, here, take this.
Yeah. It reminds me of when the Flames got a guy named Robin Regeer in the Fleury trade who had 2 broken legs, and they probably never thought would play again.
Yeah.
If this guy could even be a tenth as good as Regeer, we'd be doing well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is it just seems like poor asset management too. And again, I'm not saying Solovyev's a great defenseman, but he seems like he's better than Miro, maybe better than Bean. Why do you lose that asset?
Yeah. And I mean, people have asked why they didn't trade him. And again, I think from Colorado's perspective, you didn't have to trade for him. He was going to be anywhere.
No, and I don't think the Flames are going to get anything for him other than
future
consideration.
Future
considerations. You in the future. We might consider you a couple more times.
Like, honestly, I think you could probably sneak Soloviev through waivers in a couple weeks once everyone's finalized their team. Like, the better asset management to me seems like you put Miromanov on waivers, you send him down, you keep Soloviev up for the first 2 weeks. Then if you want to, you try to sneak him through later when everybody has their defense established.
Well, Pat was talking about this on Flames Talk. There's kind of 3 windows of when you try to put people on waivers. And I think with the Rory Karen situation, they thought that this was the time to do it because it was a risk, but they thought he would sneak through. I think that with Soloviev, I think it probably would have been like little late. If this wasn't the time, it would have been probably a little bit later.
Yeah, like the finalizing the regular season roster and slip them in then.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I would even, like I said, keep him up for the first couple of weeks, maybe waive him like on the 19th of October when everybody now has their 7 established. And they really have to ask, is this guy, because for those that don't know, the waiver rules say if you take a guy on waivers, you have to keep him in the NHL. You can't send him to the AHL or he gets optioned back to his original team. So I think even if you waited with Soloviev till, say, the 19th of October, everyone has their defense established. And I don't know how many teams are going to say, he's better than what I have to keep on the roster all year. He's better than our worst defenseman. I don't know how many teams are going to say that.
Yeah, and I am glad that Soloviev is going to get an opportunity with the Avalanche, and hopefully he can stick with them all year.
2 years in a row, they've kind of taken our sloppy seconds on defensemen. Last year, Shillington, this year, Soloviev.
Yep.
And talking about other assets lost, the Flames lost another piece on waivers. Cole Schwindt, who came over to the Flames 3 years ago in the Matthew Tkachuk trade, is returning to Florida, also being claimed on waivers.
From Vegas,
from Vegas going over to Florida now. This is kind of an interesting deal as well. Schwindt, I thought, was a guy who had some bottom 6, probably bottom 3 potential. This feels like, I mean, are we losing a huge asset? No, but I think a serviceable Wranglers asset, serviceable Flames asset. I don't think you would have got anything in trade, but I'm sad to see him go.
Well, and the thing is that realistically, the Flames having guys like Morton and Kirkland, losing Schwindt last year and, him getting picked up by Florida now, we have basically equivalent guys, so it's not a huge loss.
Yeah. And I looked at him as one of the more senior guys down there, and I think Dryden Hunt, Clark Bishop served that same role.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think ultimately probably it should have been Schwindt in that 4th line spot over Kevin Rooney last year. I know with all the headache and the controversy around the Jacob Pelche situation, honestly, I kind of figured Cole Schwindt would have been the waiver wire one, not Jacob Pelche. But yeah, good luck to him. I mean, I think that this is a guy that's going to be a tweener, NHLer, AHLer. Good luck to him in Florida, and maybe he gets to run to the beach with the cup. Who knows?
We'll see. The last thing before we move away from the rosters, does anybody have anything to say about the backup job going to Cooley over Prosvetov? Do we care who's got that job?
Not really. Like, honestly, the Flames are not going to be as good as they were last year, and so having a backup that's questionable basically fits with where the roster's at. And, like retooling teams, usually their backup goalie is somewhat terrible or horrendous.
Usually their starting goaltender is pretty terrible.
True. So we'll see. I'm expecting Wolf to probably get 55 plus starts this year, and the backup being used sparingly, like in back-to-backs only. So I'm not really too worried about Cooley or Prosvetov, or if they get somebody on waivers, or a Connor Ingram type trade. Like, whomever it is not going to be as good as Dan Vladar was, and you just kind of have to know that going in.
Kevin, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, first of all, Vladar is going to be a big loss for this team. I think he took a huge load off of a lot of people's plate. I know there was a time he didn't win a lot of games, and I get it, but he did some yeoman work for the Flames last year, and good luck for him to flirt it in Philly. There are a couple of goaltenders that I do wonder about. One being Mikey DiPietro in Boston, who is a former Canuck. They've got Swayman or Corpusalo as their goaltenders. So I wonder what they're going to do.
Last time we got in a goalie from Boston, it turned out okay.
The other one is in Washington, Clay Stevenson, a little older, 33. But again, with the Washington goaltending situation, I wonder if he ends up on waivers, what happens there. And I'm just going to toss one more name in this goalie conversation. Just because I think this is really interesting. What about Devin? And there might be some other veteran goaltenders might be on this. Billy Husso might be on the waiver wire. There might be. Now, I'll toss in one more name I'm very curious about. Devin Levi. I wonder if he ends up on waivers, what happens there. So I do think that there's some options there. And then for defensemen, I don't think that you claim Ryan Graves off waivers, because I think that salary is just way too much. But I wonder if I still think that I still wonder if they're going to try to add a defenseman. I mean, they were in on Ryan Lindgren in the offseason. They were in on Keandre Miller. I still think that that's something that they are going to want to add. I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't think it happens for opening day, though.
I wouldn't be surprised if it does. I really would.
Like, if you're adding a guy off waivers, my question would be, why not bring up one of the guys we have? Like, I think there's an asset management piece there to put the young guy on.
Yeah, I mean, again, with this forward position, I wonder if with Pospisil, if you can get a left shot D sort of in that reclamation role that you look at. The goaltending one, I mean, you have to look at the salary situation, but they have the space to do it. I wouldn't be, and I think there's an opportunity there. I don't know about defensemen. I'm a little iffy on that, but I am not convinced that Devin Cooley is going to be the backup in Edmonton on Wednesday. I'm not.
We'll see. I guess if you bring somebody else in, do you think you can sneak Cooley through waivers?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
You'd have a hell of a pair down there of Cooley Prosvetov. I think that'd be a great AHL pair, but I unless it's a significant change, or you think that the AHL is better for Cooley because he needs starting minutes, I don't know that you're going to find a significantly better backup. You'll find a different backup. I just don't know if it's going to make any difference to the overall season.
I think the goalie situation is quite fluid for a lot of teams around the league. So I wouldn't be surprised if they pick up someone like a Mikey DiPietro. He doesn't work out. We'll waive him, and then
I'd be okay trying Levi if he was. I don't want to trade for a goalie, but if you could get him on waivers, I'd be okay trying Levi. Yeah. He's 23.
I don't think they're going to trade. I think it's more likely they trade for a defenseman than they trade for a goalie. I think it's more likely that they'll get a goalie off waivers.
I guess we'll find out. This time next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
I have a shirt that says that. Where is this?
So we've talked about the opening day lineup. Shall we get to our main event for our season preview episode, our 2025-2026 season previews? You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I got a bunch of questions for us. As always, we will go through these. We'll take your answers on these, and then we will review this at the midway point and at the end of the season. We've traditionally not done too bad. We did terrible last year. You and I, Matt, we thought this team was either going to be really good or really bad, and they were neither.
Yeah, they finished in the perfect Flames manner, right down the middle, and
that's right.
Yep.
All right, so let's jump into this. I will ask each of you for your answer, and I'll give mine as well. So let's do this. Is Rasmus Andersson a Flame at the end of the year? I'm going to say yes. Matt, what do you think?
No.
Kevin?
Yes.
Wow, okay. I thought I was going to be the controversial decision there. I think it's going to turn out that the Flames don't get as much as they think for Andersson, and they think that, he wants to be here, and they just re-sign him. I don't think it'll be a long-term deal, but I think, at least for this season, he'll still be a Flame.
Yeah, I think they are going to extend Andersson. That's my prediction.
Matt, did you think you'd be in the minority with no? That surprises me.
Honestly, with how the Flames are managing this retooling, I would expect a 7 or 8 year deal for Andersson at this point. Like, they are not managing the team the way I would to actually rebuild this team. So I would expect, like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept, like, all the forwards that they have at this point either, like, and just kind of be in the mushy middle for the next 5 years. So
Connor Zary just got a 3-year extension. Does he or another young forward, let's say a young forward being under 26, become a 50-plus point player this season? Matt, what do you think?
No.
Yes. I think Matt Coronado is going to have
Well, yeah, I was kind of already assuming Coronado would be in that, so...
All right,
yeah.
So should we all say yes for Coronado? Because I think he's the most...
Yeah.
I think he's the most likely. I don't think it'll be Zary.
Yeah, I don't see anybody else besides Coronado being more than a 40-point guy, even.
Well, how old's Morgan Frost again? He's 26, right?
26, yeah.
26. You can include him. I don't think it's... I think he's going to be good. I don't know if he's going to be 40 points good this year. Or at least 50 points, which what this question asked. So, predict the player no one expects to finish top 5 in scoring. Let's start with Kevin.
Okay, let's look at what it's going to be. Kadri, Huberdeau, Coronado are your top 3. I'm going to go with Joel Sperry. I'm gonna go with him. I think that he's got a lot. I see Matt's argument about he's a lot like Blake Coleman. I do question. I do think his effort has been a little inconsistent at times, but I do think that Joel Farabee will be top 5.
What do you think, Matt? Player no one expects to be in the top 5 that might.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Sharon Govich because of his bad year last year. I think he bounces back and is one of the top 3.
I was going to go Sharon Govich. I'll go with Frost then. I think Frost, if he's on a line with Coronado, has a chance to be in that top 5 for scoring.
Yeah, he was my other consideration.
Do the Flames win the Battle of Alberta this year? Matt, what do you think?
No.
Kevin?
No. I think this Oiler team unfortunately looks a little better than last year. So
when McDavid leaves at the end of the year, I think for the next many years, the answer will be yes, because there's nothing left. I'm going to say no as well. I think this is not going to be the Flames' year for this. Does Kevin Ball emerge as the Flames' number 1 defenseman, which I'm qualifying as logging top pair minutes and becoming a cornerstone on the blue line? Matt, what do you think?
No.
Kevin?
Yes, but I still think they will need to upgrade that position. He will be number 1 this year. Will he be number 1 going forward? I think no.
Yeah, like realistically, he should be a 3-4 guy, much like Tanev was.
Realistically, Mirmanov should not be in our blue line either. We are where we are.
True.
Right? Like, I think for what the Flames have, I'm going to say yes. I think he will be the number 1 guy this year, especially if Andersson leaves. I think he will be taking some of that load with Uyghur. I think for what the Flame... Is he a number one across the league? No, but in wearing the Flaming C, I think he will emerge as our number one guy.
Yep.
Flames finished top 15. Do the Flames finish top 15 in special teams this year? A big turnaround from recent years. Matt, what do you think?
Absolutely not.
Kevin?
I think the penalty kill will have a better chance of doing that. It does seem like they've changed that. Power play. I'm going to say no to the I'm going to say maybe to the power play, and I'm going to say 13, 14 for the penalty kill. So they'll be close.
Okay, so no for the power play, yes for the penalty kill.
Yeah, I view the power play as probably being more likely to be bottom 5 than middle 15.
Especially if you've got Parekh anchoring it.
Yeah, and the penalty kill I think will be around 20th, give or take.
Yeah, my one thing is I do not discount Mackenzie Uyghur's battle to be on that Canadian Olympic team. And if he's quarterback in the power play, I especially at the start of the year, I do wonder if it's going to be a little bit better. It might take a step back in the second half of the year, but I wonder if it gets off to a better start than we expect.
I could see it get off to a better start. I don't think that's going to be consistent for 82 games.
No.
All right, last year the Flames got 96 points, barely missing the playoffs, 1 point away. Will they crack 90 points? Will they hover around 85? Do they slide in the low 70s? How many points do you think the Flames earn overall? Let's start with Kevin.
I'm going to say 90. I think Wolf will steal some games. I don't have them as a playoff team, but I'm going to say between 85 and 90. I think they're going to be battling for a playoff spot.
Matt, what do you think?
I'm going to go with rate even on 80.
80, so out of the playoffs.
Yeah, well out of the playoffs. About 6th or 7th overall.
I've been thinking about this one for a week now. I'm going to go 90. I think they're going to be out of the playoffs, but just looking at our division, I think that they're going to be able to pick up some points against San Jose. I think they're going to be able to pick up some points against the Kraken. I think they're going to be closer to the playoffs than they should be just because of the division. Anaheim's in there as well.
I feel that Anaheim and Seattle will both finish higher than the Flames.
I think Anaheim might. I don't know if Seattle will, but we'll see.
I think Calgary will finish higher than both of them. I
guess we'll. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
we'll
I'm not sold on the Kraken's goaltending, and I think
I don't know what the Kraken are trying to do. Are they trying to rebuild? Or are they not? Like they've got young guys, they got old guys. I don't know what they're trying to do.
It is very bizarre. Like if we were a Kraken podcast, there would be a lot of head scratching there for sure.
I don't know how many people will be listening to us for a Kraken podcast.
Yeah, they're barely true.
Anyway, that's a dig at the Kraken fans. So we got to get the rivalries going in the division. Yeah. Vezina caliber season for Dustin Wolf, yes or no, Matt?
I think that he finishes with some Vezina votes. I don't think that he'll be in the top 3, but do you think
he takes a step back from last year?
No, I think he takes a step forward, actually.
Kevin, what do you think?
I think he takes a step forward. But I don't think that he is going to get it. There's just too many goaltenders that are in that Vezina conversation. Like I always look at, like, when I look at awards, I think last year probably market had a lot to do with Lane and making the playoffs, had a lot to do with Lane Hutson winning the Calder. I just look at, I think Igor Shesterkin is going to win the Vezina because I think the Rangers are going to be better. You've got Vasilevsky, you've got Hellebuck, and don't discount Thatcher Demko in Vancouver in that conversation. He was hurt from...
Yeah, like if the Flames make the playoffs, I think Wolf would be a finalist for the Vezina and potentially winning it, but that would require the Flames making the playoffs.
Yeah. I just think there's too many goalies ahead of Dustin Wolf right now for consideration. So
I think from a numbers point, Wolf may look worse this year because of the defense he's in front of. From a progression point, I think it's going to be a good season for him to progress.
Yeah.
And And on Wolf, last year he played 53 games. He started, I think, I'm trying to find his starting numbers there, but he was a 1-2, or in a 1-2 with Vladar, but he was in 53 total appearances. How many starts does he get this year?
I think between 55 and 60.
I'm going to go 55 and 60 as well.
I'm going to say 60 to 65. I think this team is going to think they're competitive. I think that they're going to try and make a run for it, and I think that they may limit their backup and overwork Wolf because of it if they think that they're somewhat running for the wild card. But I think after last year, running back a similar roster, they think that they're going to be a wild card contender.
I do see. Well, the other thing with this, though, too, that I think is interesting in this conversation is we do have the Olympic break this year. So you could go 60-65 with Wolf, and he's going to have the rest, right? Because I don't think he's going to be.
So Wolf did start 53 last year. Sorry, just to jump in. Yeah, no, you're right. And I guess the question is if you think Wolf will be on the Olympic team, or get that break.
I think he will be on the Olympic team, but I don't think he'll be the starter for the States.
Yeah,
so I think he will get the break.
I think they're bringing him there to just as a development because I think it'll be others, but he's going to get a break one way or the other. Whether it's eating Italian pizza or not is an entire different question.
Will there be an AHL player who surprises us and becomes a full-time NHL player? And by full-time, let's say plays 30 games or more at the NHL level. We won't put Gridden in here because he's technically, as of right now, on the NHL roster. Matt, anybody you think?
Honestly, I don't think there is anybody that will hit that many games. I could see a number of guys getting spots in the NHL. Guys like Brustevich, like Honzik, like Morton. But I don't know as if they will make more than like 10 games.
The reason I said 30 is if you get brought up after the deadline just because you're the next body up, you haven't really made the team. You're just next guy up. So I'd say 30 is earning a full-time spot, unless you guys want to change that metric.
Unless I don't think anybody is going to get 30 games unless there's an injury, but I could see Rory Cairns getting a long look after the trade deadline if either Coleman or Kadri are traded.
I agree.
I think there's going to be a lot of guys that get a look. I think you're going to see a lot of players cycling out of this lineup. I don't think anybody, if we're taking Gridden out of it, I don't think that anyone's going to come anywhere close to that. I think Honzig might get a look. I think Brustevich might get a look. I think, you're going to see guys cycling out like we did last year. But I don't think anyone, when we look at this at the end of the year, will do almost like Zari or Possible and say they came in mid-season and now they're an NHL regular. I mean, even if we look at the lineup from last year, that would have been probably, I don't know if he played 30, but Klapka would have been that guy that earned the spot by being in the lineup the year after. But yeah, I don't think we're quite there yet.
No. Like, unless the Flames run into injury trouble, that's the only way I could see, like, where like 3 or 4 of the forwards say get hurt. That's the only way I could see a guy making the team in air quotes.
Yeah, Klapka did play 31 last year, so he would qualify for that. So, I agree with you guys, but even then, I think you're probably, if you've got that many guys out, they're either going to trade for somebody, or I think you'd be rotating players in. I mean, we saw Clark Bishop get games last year. Like, I think this team wants to try out a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Let's start with Kevin on this one. Who will have a breakout season this year? Who's going to have a really great season that, will either be that kind of defining season or is really going to lead the team because of it?
I'm going to go with, I didn't pick him in the top 5, but I think Morgan Frost is going to be a breakout. I think that he's going to be put in some roles this year that he hasn't done yet, that I think Ryan Huska is going to believe in him too. And I think we're going to see Morgan Frost take a pretty significant step to be a solid 200-foot player going this year, going forward. I also think it's just been very interesting to me that they've been playing Morgan Frost at center and not Connor Zary. I think that there's something it's very interesting to me on that. I think the Flames are high on Morgan Frost. I'm not saying like he's like the greatest center of all time, but I do think that they see what Morgan Frost's value is, and I think he'll be the breakout player.
Yeah, I feel that like they're kind of trying to mold him into being Backlund's replacement.
Yeah,
as like the third line center moving forward.
Who do you think has the breakout season, Matt?
Honestly, Klapka. I think you'll start to see a little bit more of his offensive game establish. Like the pass that he made to Kadri for the goal yesterday was excellent, and like his offensive instincts are better than what he's shown.
6 goals and 4 assists last year in 31 games.
Yeah, like I could see him push like 30 points this year or more. And like he's starting to use his physical size better. Like he literally just pushed people over yesterday, which was good to see. And the more he can engage on the ice, I think the more space he'll create for himself and his line mates, because he is freaking huge. And, he can just kind of make his own space. And I think he's learning how to utilize his physical assets to make himself a better player.
I could see double digits goals for Klapka for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to go same as Kevin. I'm going to go with Morgan Frost. I think there's a lot more there that we haven't seen. I've always liked the idea of keeping him with Farabee, but I think we're starting to get some chemistry with them in different spots, so I'm going to say Frost as well. Next one doesn't have to be necessarily from offense, though it could be. Who will pleasantly surprise us? Who at the end of the year are we going to say, wow, he had a really good season and I didn't expect it? Matt, who do you think? Do you want to go Klapka again?
Yeah, I think that'll be the easiest button for me to hit, because I think, if not him, Sharon Govich. I think both of them will surprise people with their play over the course of the year, and I think that they'll be looked at as being like fixtures in the top 9.
What do you think, Kev?
I think people expect this guy to lead the team in scoring, but I think that Nazem Kadri is going to surprise people. That I think he's going to be better than people think.
In terms of offensive numbers,
I think it all around. I think he's starting. You talked about Mackenzie Weegar possibly having the captaincy. I wouldn't be surprised if Kadri is in that. Where's another C under his C as well. I just think he's a guy that drags people into the fight, and he just takes these predictions of bottom 5 personally. He's taken not being on the Canadian Olympic roster very personally. He takes a lot of things very personally, and I just think he's going to be better than he'll lead the team in scoring, so nobody will be surprised by that, but I think he will be better. Here's what I will say. I think Kadri will get a Selke vote this year.
The only reason I don't think Kadri's your next captain is, he expires 1 year after the current captain. I know you want to put the C on a guy for 1 year. Is going to be like 37 at that point.
Yeah, maybe. But I think he's playing like a leader.
He is, yep. We'll see how long that holds up, because, again, he is getting older.
Yeah.
Let's flip this.
Who's your surprise?
Sharon Govich. I think Sharon Govich is going to be back into top 6 form. I think, like Matt said, he had a rough season last year with the injury, but when he came back, he put up the numbers that needed to be there. I think Sharon Govich is going to get himself back in the conversation he was in the first year he was here. Wow, this guy can do a bit of everything. This guy's a top, scorer, playmaker for this team. I think Sharon Govich is going to go back into top 6 form for the Flames. Let's go on the disappointing side, and I'll start this time. Who's going to disappoint this season? I'm going to start mine and say Parekh. I don't think Parekh is going to be who fans think he's going to be this year. I think he will end the season on the Flames roster, but still as a 5-6. Matt, what do you think?
I'm going to go Connor Zary to the point where I feel like he'll regress to being a 4th-line player.
Wow. All right, Kevin? Spencer 4th-liner.
Yep.
I'm not having a lot of hope. I'm kind of just been personally cheering for Justin Kirkland. So I fear that him not being there is going to be a bit of a disappointment.
Is it disappointment or is it regressing the mean? Like, to me, Kirkland is not an everyday NHLer. I think he had a heck of a season last year. If he's not a full-time guy, is that regress to the mean or is that disappointment?
Well, I get okay. Let me clarify this. I'm cheering for Justin. You know what? Who I think is going to end up? This is going to be an odd one. I think that the fans are going to criticize if Parekh is not playing, Dan. I think that the finger is going to be completely pointed at Ryan Huska, and I think that he's going to be the one that people are going to be disappointed in because they're going to blame him for not playing Parekh. They're going to blame him for not playing Rory Cairns. I think it's going to be Ryan Huska.
You think that's going to be the biggest disappointment?
Yeah,
I'm taking Bean and Miramanov out of this conversation.
I think that the criticism, like I love Ryan Huska. Please don't get me wrong. I just think the way that I'm understanding this question is like
at the end of the year, who are we going to look back on and say, "Wow, they really didn't have a good season. They really disappointed everybody this year. They should have done better."
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it's Zane Parekh, but I'm going to say it's not because of Parekh. I think that people are going to criticize Huska for it. Is why. Does that make sense?
Huska's handling of Parekh.
Yes, I think it's going to disappoint a lot of people.
And I think if the Flames do regress, he's probably going to get a little bit more flack as well.
Yeah.
Who will be the top point getter for the Flames this year? Matt, who do you think?
I'm going to go with Jonathan Huberdeau. I think he will be eclipsing 70 points.
Kevin, who do you think?
It's Kadri.
Kadri, interesting. Let me put these down. I'm going to go with Coronado. I think Coronado this is going to be one of his bigger years for top point getters. I think Flames are going to get a lot of points by committee, so I don't know if there's going to be one guy that gets a ton of them, but I think Coronado is probably going to be the guy, not just goals, but points. I think he's going to be the guy that ends up with the most points in this team.
Okay.
Who will be the first Flame traded? Matt, who do you think?
I would have to say either Rasmus Anderson or Blake Coleman, and I will go with Anderson just because he's a free agent at the end of the year.
Kevin?
Pospisil.
Okay. This one is one I've been thinking of. Like, I'm trying to think of who do they get value for. I'm still saying that Anderson is going to stay here, so I don't think that he gets traded. I think that's the way this shake out. So I will match Kevin, and I think it's probably going to be Pospisil because he's the easy trade, even though I think the contract might dissuade it. My other thought when I was doing this, but again, it's an even bigger contract try and move, is Zari. I think it could be one of those two. Does Devin Cooley end the season as our backup? Matt?
No.
Who do you think it'll be Prosvetov, or do you think it'll be somebody else?
Probably Prosvetov. I would say like 80% chance him and 20% chance they get somebody else.
Kevin?
No, he's not.
You don't even think Cooley will be the backup start the season?
Yeah, no. So no.
I'm going to say yes. I think that Prosvetov and Cooley will swap in and out in that role. I can see them bringing one guy down, one guy up, one guy down, one guy up. But I think this Flames organization is high on Cooley. And I think when the dust settles, he'll be the guy that probably, quote unquote, won that backup job.
One thing to point out, though, and just for the listeners out there, is you can't do the paper transaction anymore. So you can't send... Devin Cooley will have to literally move his goalie equipment from the Flames dressing room to the Wranglers dressing room.
Somebody will have to move his goalie equipment.
Yeah. So that he literally has to be in that dressing room. So
such an arduous journey for him.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're going to make you like take a picture of him in the dressing room just to prove it?
Yeah, maybe selfies. Yeah.
And can we just use the same photo over and over? Or does that have to be date stamped? Like,
no.
Just take the picture now.
Hold up the newspaper.
That's right. Proof of life. Is there even a newspaper to hold up anymore?
Yeah.
You'd have to hold up like the lineup sheet for that day. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they can't quote unquote do a paper transaction. So he has to actually report to the head coach. He has to go see Sutter and say, "Coach, I'm here."
Yeah.
And coach says, "Great. Guess what? You've been called up again, son." And then he's got to go talk to Husk and say, "Coach, I'm here."
Yeah.
He says, "Go, get dressed."
I can see Devin Cooley going to hi, everyone, which way do I go?
Well, considering the coaches share an office, it'll be face left, face right. Like, it's going to, but that's one of the joys of having the AHL team here. He doesn't need to fly to Stockton just to be told, "Kid, you're going back to Calgary."
Yeah.
It makes it easy. Or drive out to Red Deer or something like that.
Yeah.
Who will be the first call-up, forward and defense? And let's assume that Gridden is on the roster since he is now. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah.
Matt, who do you think will be the first forward call-up?
Sam Morton.
Okay, and how about defense?
I'd probably go Kuznetsov.
My first call-up on defense is no longer viable, so yeah, I got to find someone else. How about you, Kevin?
Forward, I'm going to go with Cairns. And defense.
You're running. You don't have a lot of options there.
I'm going to go with Kuznetsov as well.
For forward, I'm going to say Honzig. I think they want to give him some more looks at the NHL level. And defense, and maybe it's just me being hopeful, but I think they're going to want to bring in one of their more senior guys to see what he can do. I think it'll be Poirier.
They sent him down so early, though. That was the thing.
They did, but if you're just looking for a 1 or 2 day fill-in, I think you want to see what you got there.
Yeah.
True.
I don't know if these are long-term. I don't know if that's the way it'll work, but I don't know that the first call-ups are going to be long-term. Usually the first call-ups are, a couple days, or we just want a body on a road trip or something like that. So when I originally did these, I put some of my predictions in. My original one was Soloviev, and then I had or Bean or Marimanov based on who is in NHL. And now none of those predictions make any sense.
Yep.
And the last question for this year. What do the Flames need to do for this season to be successful? When we look back at this season in April and say the Flames had a successful year, what does that mean? Let's start with our guest, Kevin.
Well, I think that we need to see that Dustin. I don't know if we need to see the numbers that the godly numbers of Dustin Wolf had or expect, but I wonder if we see Dustin Wolf continue to take more of the, I don't want to say the leadership role of this team. I also think that a successful year is the growth from Morgan Frost and Matt Coronado. Yeah, those would be the two things that
So by growth for those guys, are we looking for more offensive numbers? How will we quantify it?
I think at the end of the day, are we having a conversation about Morgan Frost in the Michael Backlund role, or how close are we to having that conversation? Okay. I think would be it. And I also think, you know what? I think another subtle one would be if you're right, Dan, and Honzig's is number one call-up and he continues to stay healthy, I think that's also success as well.
I don't know if he'll stay here, but I think he'll be number one call-up.
Fair.
I think he might come for a game or two and go back down. Matt, what would your success be?
I would like to see more roster turnover in terms of veteran players leaving and more spots created for young players moving forward. Like, the Flames did manage to get guys like Frost and Farabee who kind of are in the, playing a similar role to Backlund and Coleman. I would like to see some guys starting to actually get moved out of this roster. So that way guys like Honzek and, Cairns and whomever can actually get spots in the NHL so we can kind of continue on this rebuild, retool thing. And especially because of the fact I do not view this team as being a playoff team. Like, they need to start infusing more youth into the roster, and the only way you can do that is to actually move out the veterans that are under contract. And like, it sucks because certain players are fan favorites, but like, even trading a guy like Nazem Kadri or Jonathan Huberdeau, who's now with the Kaprizov contract, is not actually an unreasonable contract anymore. it's one of those, like, the Flames need to start shifting more towards the youth center, and especially like if the Flames have a disastrous season, which I could see due to their start where they're playing mostly elite teams for the first 2 months. Like they need to start transitioning, and the thing that I would be disappointed in is if like all of the guys are on the roster that start the season at the end of the season.
Okay, so you're expecting that there needs to be, should we say, at least 3 veterans move out? Do we want to quantify that?
At least 2, and 3 preferable, but 2 at least. Like there needs to start to be some roster turnover, and like we're starting to see guys like Frost, Farabee, Sharon Govich take on those roles as like the good middle 6 options for this team. We need to create their spots in the lineup for young guys, and have those guys shift up the lineup.
Makes sense. I'm going to go with something similar. I think that this year, the Flames have a lot of pieces. I don't know if they have a lot of top pieces, even for an emerging team. I mean, Coronado's good, Sharon Govich could be good, Farabee, Frost. We're expecting a lot from a lot of guys. And I think the Flames need to establish this year their top 3 forwards, 26 and under. I think they need to say, this is our core moving forward, whether that's Frost, Farabee, Sharon Govich, Coronado, whatever that is. I think that needs to be established. And then they can decide, sort of like Matt was saying, what do the veterans look like slotting in around that, or who do we move out? But right now, to me, we've got a bunch of guys that could go in a lot of ways in this lineup. And I think we need to start establishing that core to build around. Say, okay, now Hanze can go here, or Morton can go here, and just get away from this, here's a bunch of NHL-ready bodies. Let's see who goes where. So for me, I'm going to put that down as we need to establish our top 3 emerging forwards, 26 and under.
Yeah.
I think defense is another story for another year.
Yes. Well, especially because like most of our good young guys are still like a year or so away from the NHL, like guys like Bruce Davich, Parekh as being like a top 4 defenseman.
You can only solve one problem at a time.
Yeah.
If the Flames are battling for a playoff spot, I don't know if they're. I mean, Rasmus is a different situation, because I think if there's no contract there, then it's quite probable that Rasmus will be traded. I just don't see them trading Coleman if they're in a playoff spot. I know, Matt, you don't see him as a valuable of a piece, but I think the Flames do.
Oh, I actually do like Coleman and value him. It's just the redundancies in the lineup is what the problem is, and you take out the older of the 2 guys. Yeah. Like honestly, like if it was like you must pick one to have on your team for today, I would pick Coleman over Farabee. But in terms of the next 5 years, you take Farabee over Coleman any day of the week.
Yeah. Do you think it's fair for all of us to say that this team will not be successful if they try to trade their way into the playoffs? If they're going to get anywhere close, they need to do what they did last year and say, here's our roster, let it sink or swim.
Yeah, like it would be stupid of them to trade any draft picks or prospects for help for this year.
I don't think that they're going to do that. I think that they're going to go big fish hunting within the next couple of years when Scotia Place actually looks like a Scotia Place, not like what it looks right now.
Not a hole in the ground with some plywood sticking out of it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those are our season predictions. So we'll come back to those at the end of probably December and see how we're doing as we hit that 41 game mark. But with that, we come to the last part of our show, which is our weekly predictions. The Flames have 3 games in their first week this year. They start the season on the 8th in Edmonton, taking on the Oilers, an 8 p.m. start time. Then they have a back-to-back. The next night, they fly over to Vancouver, another 8 p.m. start time, taking on the Canucks. And then their home opener is Saturday the 11th at 2 p.m., a matinee game, which they never do well on, taking on the St. Louis Blues. Weird home openers the last couple of years. Last year is Philly, nobody cared about. This year it's St. Louis, nobody cares about. And I can't remember a home opener ever being a matinee. So kind of a weird start here.
Yeah, and just a note that if anybody wants to get autographs signed by the players, they are having a red carpet thing between 10 and 12 prior, where you can get autographs from literally the entire team. So, like, if you have any kids or you want a jersey signed, whatever, they're doing that 2 hours before, 4 hours to 2 hours before the game. So if you want to head down, you can.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good to know. So, and I'm sure the red carpet will be streamed on their website as well. I don't know for sure, but it usually is. So check that if you're interested. 3 games in the docket here. Matt, what are your thoughts on this week? How do the Flames do?
I'm going to be Debbie Downer and go 0 for 3.
Wow.
I just don't see them having a good time against any of those 3 teams. They do not tend to do well against St. Louis. Generally, Edmonton is the better team, and Vancouver, they just, unless the Flames get better defensively and have Wolf actually stop pucks, I don't see that going well.
So you're thinking 0-3. Do you think that we see whoever the backup is? This,
no, I think Wolf gets all 3.
Okay. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Wolf gets all 3 as well. I'm going to be a bit of a Debbie Downer, but not a full Debbie Downer. I think they win in overtime in Vancouver. I think that 8-1 loss is going to stick in the craw with some of the Flames. And I do think that the Flames and Canucks are going to be battling for a playoff spot. Pressure on both, but I can see the Flames winning in overtime. I think they lose in Edmonton, and I think they lose in again at the home opener to St. Louis. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's in overtime.
So sorry, you think regulation loss to Edmonton, overtime loss to Vancouver?
Yeah.
And then a win against St. Louis?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a win against St. Louis. Let's be 1-1-1 just for,
All right. This is a tough one for me. I do think that you will see the starter, Dustin Wolf, all week. Like, I think even with the back-to-backs, it's the beginning of the season. He's got the stamina for it. I think we'll see that. I really want them to beat Edmonton. I don't think they do. Is this Vancouver's home opener, Kevin?
Yes. It's their season opener as well.
Then I don't see them beating Vancouver. I also think back-to-back, you're not going to win that. So I'm going to say they lose the first 2 and they win to St. Louis.
Okay.
I'm probably going to kick myself in the butt because that is the matinee game and this team performs terribly during the matinees, but I don't think... I mean, last year they were, 5-0 to start with? Like, I think that this team needs to get a good start, and it worries me that this is their start. So,
Fair.
Or at least the teams that they're starting against. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But this was kind of a scary looking start for the Flames. And if we look at the rest of the...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, the rest of the month does not really get any easier, so you might as well throw yourself into the fire and see how it goes.
Yeah, after this week, they have back-to-backs, one at home against Vegas, one on the road against the Mammoth. Still seeing that logo on the schedule. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Utah. And then they've got Vegas again on the road. Then they've got Winnipeg, Montreal, Winnipeg, the Rangers, Toronto, and Ottawa. So it's a busy month for the Flames.
Yeah.
And all of those teams are all playoff caliber teams.
Yep. We should know. We should have a sense of what this Flames team is, I would say, by the end of that month.
Yeah.
Like, I think with playing, I don't know what you guys think, but with playing those kind of teams early, I think we're going to know, are these guys capable of competing or not? Is the foot speed down or not?
Yeah, we'll learn a lot about the team within the first month for sure.
I think so too. Well, that brings us to the end of our season preview. We will be back next week to talk more Flames hockey. But Kevin, you and your co-hosts over at Shifts and Pucks, I imagine, are not just going to be talking Flames hockey. You're going to be talking Vancouver and other teams as well. So why don't you tell people what they can find at the Shifts and Pucks podcast?
Yeah, we'll be doing a Canuck. We kind of this is sort of the combination of the Flames season preview, but the Canuck season preview will be tomorrow. We'll have out here. We'll be live on Sunday and then on all fine podcasts platforms. And then, so we'll be looking at what the Canucks will be doing. Last year was an absolutely headache of a season for the Canucks. We'll see what happens this year. Still lots of questions about that team. And then we're going to be still some things fluid of what we're working on here. So kind of stay tuned to the Shifts and Pucks platform, and we'll have a couple of other announcements. But again, follow us on Shifts and Pucks, subscribe on YouTube, and find us where all podcast platforms are.
Enjoy this week of Flames hockey, gentlemen, and hopefully we're not talking about 3 losses this time next week.
And as always, go Flames, go.
Fireside Chat is hosted by Dan Stevenson, co-hosted by Matt DeBorg. This episode produced and edited by Peter Marino. Fireside Chat is licensed under a Creative Commons license. For full license details, visit firesidechat.ca.